Tell me what else you saw that caused you to arrive at your decision that George Zimmerman is innocent.
Well, I'm aware of the fact that Trayvon had been smoking marijuana.
And how did you learn that?
From TV.
Okay.
And
was that a commentator too, or was that a report, or?
It could have been in the newspaper also, either one of those places. Okay. And that there were pictures on his phone of him smoking, and that was on TV. And there was also a picture of a gun that was taken off of his cell phone too. Wow. And that tells me that smoking pot, getting involved in guns, learning how to street fight. I mean, I know his family loved him. I know they did. And I think that he probably had just started getting in with a wrong crowd, and his family wasn't aware of it. And, he was going down the wrong path. And things were just escalating for that young man in a bad way.
So you felt it really wasn't his parents' fault, that he just kind of went that way, Trayvon Martin, in other words, that he decided to get into street fighting, decided to start carrying a gun, I guess, right?
Well, I don't know that he was carrying a gun.
You mentioned that he had a gun.
I mentioned that there was a picture of a gun on his phone.
On his phone.
So that's an indicator that he's interested.
Sure. And you believe that was him holding a gun?
No, I don't know that for a fact.
Well then, how did that impact you in terms of saying that he was the one that was involved in obviously getting into this incident with Mr. Zimmerman, and Zimmerman is innocent?
Well, if the boy is smoking pot, he's interested in guns, he's learning how to fight, he's going down the wrong path, then it seems to me that he's just looking for a reason to fight, and he's confronted by someone who's trying to protect their neighborhood, who's just watching out for somebody who looks suspicious. And the boy is confronted, and he's already got drugs in his system, or he could have been high even then, and he got aggressive.
Did you believe he also, Trayvon Martin, was carrying a gun that night?
No, I don't think he was carrying a gun that night, because I think if he was, then everyone would have known that by now.
Oh, okay. And what other things caused you to come to your conclusion or opinion that George Zimmerman is innocent?
Well, I think George was just trying to protect his neighborhood. He saw something out of place. He called the police. He confronted the boy. Or maybe, maybe he did not. I think that the boy saw George watching him, and I'm not sure if the boy confronted George or not. I'm not sure about that.
So you believe it may have been Trayvon Martin that went and confronted George Zimmerman?
It's a possibility. Okay. I don't know that for sure.
Now, I gather you did not know, you keep referring to him as George Zimmerman is who you're talking about, right?
Right.
You didn't know him prior to this?
No.
Okay. What else have you heard regarding, or what else caused you to arrive at your conclusion that Mr. Zimmerman is innocent?
Basically what I told you.
Okay, anything else?
No.
Is there anything that you saw that made you believe that maybe he's guilty?
No.
Okay, nothing?
No.
Okay, what else did you hear about George Zimmerman, if anything?
That's basically it, really.
Did you watch any of the court proceedings?
Yes, I did.
Okay, were you one of those individuals that kind of catches on or latches onto a case and kind of follows the case and is interested?
No.
Okay, and how did it come about that you watched the court proceedings?
Because I knew that I had received the jury summons.
Oh, okay, so you got the jury summons and you decided, let me watch to see what's going on so I know what the heck was going on, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That's a normal thing that somebody might do.
Yeah.
So you got the summons about 3 or 4 weeks ago that you said, let me pay attention to what's going on in court. in case
Yeah.
I'm asked something, I can say I know something about the case, right?
Otherwise, this is not the type of thing that I would really pay attention to on a
Gotcha.
daily basis.
So in terms of the opinion that you came to, was that at the beginning, or was that recently after you got further immersed into the case?
No, it was right away.
Okay, so
I felt that right away.
and would you agree that those opinions that we form at the beginning are usually the opinions that we stick to throughout?
Unless there's evidence that changes your mind,
Right?
then,
It's kind of hard to erase when.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I was trying to write down what she was saying, and I didn't think she was done.
I apologize, I thought she was. Did I interrupt you, ma'am? Were you done?
no, I'm done.
She was done? So those opinions that you formulate at the beginning, those are usually the lasting opinions, would you agree?
Yeah, usually,
Right.
unless there's something that you don't know about that comes forth.
Now, what happens if the opinions we come to, or you came to in life, are based on stuff that's not true? What do you do then? You mentioned that Trayvon Martin. What else did you learn about Trayvon Martin from the news? Anything else you can recall?
I know that his mom loved him a great deal.
Okay.
I mean, she took him skiing, horseback riding.
Right.
She was active in his life, and they were a family unit, but his father wasn't present,
Okay.
which is hard for a boy.
Sure. Did you think that was a reason why he, in your opinion, turned out the way he did?
I grew up without a father.
Okay.
So
you didn't hold
I
that.
think that has a lot to do, when a boy is growing up, he needs that influence.
Sure. So you felt that may in some way have impacted, in your opinion, why he turned out the way he did? You mentioned a gun and smoking and et cetera.
Yeah, I think that had something to do
Sure.
with it. If his dad was there or if a male
Sure.
figure was there on a regular basis, I think that he may not have gotten involved with other boys that led him astray.
How did you come to that conclusion that his father was not there on a regular basis? Where did you arrive at that fact?
Well, the picture that was out of Trayvon the most that I remember seeing is him of 12 years old. And then other pictures started coming out, and I had learned that these were pictures that his mother provided an attorney, I think, from his memorial service. And I remember hearing that his father was asked for recent pictures, and he said he didn't have any.
And you saw that on TV or read about it in the paper?
I think I saw that on TV.
Okay. And who said that on TV?
Oh, I don't know.
Was it a
It
commentator?
was Channel 13.
Okay, all right. Somebody on Channel 13.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you were when you were looking at the case, you were following both sides of it? In other words, you weren't just focusing on Trayvon Martin, I'm assuming, or were you?
No, I look at both sides.
Okay. You were looking at George Zimmerman too? Or were you? You mentioned the injuries to George Zimmerman. Anything else you remember reading or watching on TV about that said anything about George Zimmerman? Other than what you've said already?
That he was very upset, probably anxious that he had gained some weight, and you either gain weight or lose weight
Sure.
when you're very upset.
Anything else that you remember about George Zimmerman in terms of from the time that this happened back in February till now that you read about in the paper or saw on TV?
That his family or he were trying to raise money for his defense.
Okay.
And that's about it, really.
Okay. You don't remember anything else? Because you mentioned you watched court proceedings. You don't remember anything about the court proceedings?
No, I'd have the TV on while I'm working around the house and doing things that's kind of background noise.
Sure.
So,
Okay. Well, I guess my question to you is, how come you have specific recollections about Trayvon Martin, but not that specific recollection about George Zimmerman? Is it because you already made up your mind in terms of that you felt Trayvon Martin was in the wrong and George Zimmerman was in the
well,
right?
there was a lot more personal information put out about Trayvon than I think there was about George.
Is that what you believe based on what you saw?
Yeah.
Okay. And that personal information that was put out, I'm assuming was all of that just based on TV as opposed to the internet?
I don't get my news from the internet.
Okay. You don't go, you didn't do any research on the case? You didn't-
No. I check my email, I might look at the AOL homepage, there's not a
Okay.
whole lot
Okay.
on there.
I gather I know you recently obviously found out and then you did some more work, or you started paying attention. When you found out you got the summons, you started paying attention, right?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about that, what you did about that.
Well, I heard the judge say that the jury was not going to be sequestered.
Was not going to be sequestered, okay?
Yes, and I sighed with relief.
So
And
it-
then the paper that I filled out said, if sequestered, I saw the word sequestered in there, and the walls in the room, that big room, the walls started to close in. And, I just want to sleep in my own bed at night.
I neglected to ask you about that because I can barely read it. It's not that you didn't write it legible, it's just that my copy, when they copied it, wasn't that legible. But I
Okay.
think you stated no, but then you threw out, or you put in some language there in terms of you may have some issues with being
Yeah,
sequestered.
it makes me feel a little anxious. This whole case, for me personally, makes me feel anxious if I were to be a juror.
So in an ideal world, you would not want to be on this jury, I gather?
That's correct.
Okay. And is that because of everything you've already expressed already, and also possibility, in addition to that, that you may be sequestered?
Well, I would like to say that I think no matter what the outcome is with this, there's going to be somebody that's not going to be happy.
Okay.
There's going to be groups out there that aren't going to be happy. And I feel like I'm going to walk out of here with a bullseye on my back.
So you feel, in your opinion, that you might be a target and you would rather not serve on the jury because of that, is that correct?
That's correct.
Is that true?
I just said that's
Okay,
correct.
I apologize.
That's
I
okay.
wasn't listening to your answer. Please accept my apologies.